All right, welcome to Unstuck and Alive. We're here with Dustin Campbell. Dustin was the COO of Nutrabolt back in the day. Now he does real estate investments and travels the world. He's got an incredible family, 3 kiddos, a beautiful wife. Dustin is one of the most interesting men in the world.
Yeah.
I One of my favorite guys I've ever taken on trail. Seriously, I could sit around and listen to this guy talk for hours. I'm excited for this interview to get to bless the world. Dustin's a sharp mind. He is a great thinker. He's funny. He's got incredible style. And of all the people I could run into on the back roads of Moab on a side by side trip, there's nobody I'd rather see and run into than Dustin Campbell. He's an incredible
Oh,
dude. And so, Dustin, thanks for taking some time today to
Thanks,
join
Dustin.
us.
for
Welcome.
sure. We'll have to tell that story too, because that's pretty wild. I mean, in the middle of absolutely nowhere, I see this little family eating lunch, and I'm like, literally in the middle of nowhere. Just
Yeah,
going off trail,
we're like
going out.
30 miles deep on some
Yeah,
random side by side trail in Moab.
and sure enough, it's Todd and his wife, and I'm like, babe, that's freaking Todd right there. And she's like, there's no way. She looks over and she's like, oh my gosh. And that was great. We got this hang out and do the wind caves together and go to dinner that night. It was great. Great little
And
God
then
God
go
bless
on,
us.
and then go on the Hell's Revenge, dude. That is
Oh yeah, and
trip,
then the next day we go on Hell's Revenge with his boy. He brings
trip,
what's your son's name?
trip, trip.
Trip. He brought Trip. Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. Amazing, really obviously awesome hard trail. It was so good. We got a guided trip of it. It was so
Yeah.
fun.
Dustin calls me up. I had just given Aaron the morning off. So I have the kids. I'm like, hey babe, it's busy. I got the kids. We're at the park. Dustin calls.
Oh no, I
Trip is
lost you guys.
peeing in the middle of a public park. And I'm like, Trip, dude, stop. And Dustin says, hey, we're going on this awesome guided side by side trip we're leaving in like 30 minutes. And I'm like, dude, I'm in. I call Aaron. I'm like, babe, I'll make it up. I promise. Trip, let's go. He had a birthday experience, and so it
Oh,
was
dude.
it was amazing.
Yeah, great
Hey,
trail.
so
That was a really, really awesome day.
Dustin, before we get in your story, dude, one of my favorite things about you, and I'm not just saying this because we're on a podcast. I tell Aaron, you're always up to something. Like you're always doing something. You're always pushing the limit on something or trying something new. And we were talking before we hit record on the RV stuff. Right? I see you in the back country, and you've got something up your sleeve. Like I love the way you live life and just get after it. What like right now, real time, like what's something you're working on, something you're dreaming about, something you're trying out?
That's a great question. I think like right now I'm like being really prayerful about what's next for me. Like not just in business. I'm exiting one of my big assets in the hotel, and I'm like now I got my mind stewing about what do I want to get to next. I don't know that answer, Todd, right now. I feel like one of those things I mentioned to you of having a lot of balls in the air. This is one of them. This is a big one. I've always had an affinity for real estate and for development. That's what I grew up in. But I don't know. We're kind of transitioning with the kids a little bit, even though we got some younger ones with the college thing. So I'm kind of open to what that means for us. I feel like I want to be engaged in my daughter's college life as much as I can. So I'm helping my brother's business, which is a large business that I've been doing from home for a lot. So yeah, I with the RV thing kind of winding down, yeah. So I would say I'm in that almost like discovery phase, and I usually don't sit here very often. Like very, but I do want to be patient. I do want to make sure I wrestle with the Lord on this and not just make uh, a pivot and just hope He blesses it. Right. So I think right now, I'm in that moment of seeking what the answer to that question is. And I think it's uncomfortable a little bit, but that's good, right? I think one of the things that, you've talked about over the years, and you told me this on trail, was like, and the Lord's still working on it. Like, I don't like my ship out in the ocean. Like I like it like, oh, it's right on the dock. It's kind of like, yeah, it kind of feels the ways, but it's so safe. It's like tied to the dock. And like Todd's like, well, that's not where you live life. You don't live life. You can't live life tied to the dock, right? Or one of Todd's analogies of like, we don't live life on the mountain peak. Like, yeah, it's nice to get up and visit the peak and get some clarity, but we live life in the valley where death and destruction and a lot of things happen around us that, we can't just build a cabin on the top of the mountaintop and like call it quits, right? And so the uncertainty and stuff used to bother me a lot. It used to be like, it used to create a lot of fear and anxiety, and the Lord has really provided a lot in that area for me. I think WayForward was very, the Lord had that for me for a lot of reasons. But one of these was that breaking that kind of anxiety and fear of actually, being okay with uncertainty, and you're not in control. You're really not in control of anything. So why are you trying to control everything? But yeah, it's a great question, Todd, and I hope I could answer it soon. But right this second, and I'm excited too. Don't get me wrong. It's both, right? It's nervous and exciting. But yeah.
Dustin. Hey, Dustin.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, man. One thing I'm curious about, because the way Todd just like introed you and described you is like you're a man of adventure, pushing the limit, so I'm curious, historically, do those two things all like tied to the dock and unleashed? Are they usually occurring at the same time, or do they flow together? I'm just curious.
That's a great question. I think the way and Todd described me is a lot of how I operate in business and how I operate personally. But like, I think emotionally and like the insecurities, like, and I think there could be a, not that I don't have anything to hide, but like, yeah, I do actually, those things that Todd said are true. I do have that let's go, adventurous, always up to something, but also at the same time, like I had some unhealthy fears that kept me, kind of, and my family, like I wanted to build a bubble around them and keep them there. And like, yeah, I want them to experience things, but only, in a very controlled environment. And so, yeah, I don't know the exact answer to that, but I feel like, the Lord is like, and obviously and this is something, you don't know. I've been really, really learning a lot about heaven and like what's next rather than focusing on what's just in the present. And that's really, really helped me in my walk with fear and anxiety and like thinking this is just it. Like at growing up, like, and I think even most Christians today spend little time knowing where we're going forever, what the Lord has actually told us about the new heaven and the new earth, about what that is actually going to look like. When I remember even being on trail, being like, I don't even know if I want to go there because I don't know what it's. I'm serious. Like, I know it sounds crazy, right, as a Christian to say that, but like, I don't even know if I want to spend eternity there. It doesn't like streets of gold and like that's cool, but like forever, like I just had I had limited knowledge of what the Lord has revealed to what forever looks like, right? So the last couple of years, I've been rereading Randy Alcorn's book on heaven.
It's good.
And just educating myself on what God has really planned for us and what eternity is really going to be like. And like those things are now exciting to me, right? And like getting visuals of what is going to be forever, because this is all going away, and we know that. Like, right? I'm 46 years old. I'm like, half my life's gone, and I feel like we're just getting started, right? So like, and that's also helped me, like, as I'm planning the next phases, it's like this isn't everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, and I have been far from that mentality my whole life. Like, not, I mean, for me to even say that and how I've lived my life up to this point, the last couple of years has been, this is it. I'm going to invest everything in here. I mean, and I'm going to chase this thing and just this worldly stuff. And it's like, and it's all really in the fear of the unknown and not knowing. And so the last couple of years has been, and even today I'm still learning, like there's so much to know about what's coming. And I mean, really, like, dude, I mean, think about, like, if we got people around us that are unbelievers, we're trying to live our lives in a way that they would want what we have. Well, if we don't ultimately know where we're going, I mean, regardless of how you live in your life, I'm like, yeah, we're going to heaven. What's that going to be like? And you can't explain it, or you have no idea what it's like. It's like, I don't even know if I want to go. I'm out. Like no. So I felt really convicted about it. It's really helped me. The Lord says a lot about in the Bible. I don't think the church talks about it a lot. And I don't think as families, like that's easy as a kid to be like, oh, heaven, it's like you're in the clouds, right? Oh my God, that'd be amazing to be in the clouds. Well, as you get older, it's like, well, what does that actually really mean? You know, did God build a house and room for everybody? Well, I don't know. Maybe I should figure out what that means, you know? So it's been amazing. There is a lot in the Bible to unpack about what eternity is like. And that's really helped me in my walk. Yeah. So I don't know where I got off on that, but.
No, man, that's great. Hey, so you've brought up some of the stuff of like some of your mindset before, you know, what you've been chasing for, you know, throughout life. Let's dive into that. You know, what has made you kind of life story style, and then we'll go deeper on some specific areas. So how have you gotten to where you are today?
So grew up in a loving, great family. We were not church goers at all. Like, I mean, my grandma tried to take us, you know, to catechism and the Catholic thing for a little bit when we were young, but we a lot of love in our house, but we just didn't go to church. And you know, I grew up with my older brother who's 1 year older than me, so we're really close, me and him. Both parents worked, and you know, dad was, you know, he was focused on business. He was a real estate developer. And home builder, and came from a family. His dad was that too, and they grew up in a family business. My uncle, both uncles were in the business. My dad was in the business. My grandpa. It was. So I grew up in a very real estate development, business focused group of guys. Right. It wasn't nothing about the Lord. It was but it was still a very loving environment. Right. I didn't feel like unloved at all. But you know, we pretty much got to do whatever we wanted. So me and my brother got into a lot of trouble when we were young, into pornography really young, got into chasing. Hey, I want to be a part of my dad's business, because the Campbells were, you know, that's what the men did. They built and developed subdivisions, built homes, and there was some success there. And then at times there wasn't. My dad kind of rode the hills of success, you know, up and down. We moved a lot. I think we counted, like, in the first 18 years of my life, we moved like 20 times. So we would move to the new development, new house. We would move here, move school. So, and I went to like 6 high schools, it was just normal for me. It was just like, okay, we're going to a new school. It was always like that, you know? So, you know, I look back on it, I was like, man, that was pretty chaotic, but like living in it, it didn't feel, I didn't know any different, I guess. Like there was, you know, we were exposed to a lot of bad things early on, like 12, 13, you know, 14, like those years, but I still felt 13, 14, when my parents, kind of the family, started breaking up. Okay. My dad was not home a lot, doing his business thing a lot. My mom was working, and that just doesn't lead to a great marriage. Right. So there's just, so ended up splitting up. That was kind of uneventful for me. I mean, it's not like I was like, I don't know. It's very odd. Like when you hear some people's divorce stories, like, oh my God, it was the worst thing in the world. Wouldn't say I didn't like, I enjoyed it. It just wasn't super traumatic at the moment. There was a little hectic, when, you know, at first, but it's fine. But we did, in that chaos, we got exposed to a lot of things early on. One of the things I would say was like, I'm at my buddy's house and his dad's got magazines and nobody's, making sure that we're not, being exposed to that. And so I think a lot of what was input when we were young was of the world, and we had no filter, and we had nothing to really, no guidance from a father figure to walk with us in that. It was just figure it out,
Yeah.
and that's just kind of what it was. So around 13, 14 was really my first almost church experience too. We moved to a small town, which my mom was from, in Chowchilla, and all the kids went to Awanas. It was just the thing of the town. It was a small town. You go to Awanas because that's where all the cute girls are at. So guess what we did? We went to Awanas. And so there was a youth pastor named Joe. He pulled these two yahoos in that just showed up. Great guy. We kind of got involved and we got saved at that point in our lives. We kind of said yes to this church thing and to this Jesus thing, not knowing what it really meant. We were just like, yeah, we're in. I don't remember the sales pitch, but I remember, feeling like, yeah, this is right. This is the direction we should go. So that was kind of my first real, like, Jesus experience and saying yes and not knowing what that was. But I would say from 13 to 18, it was like, well, you just kind of figured out. There was no mentorship or we didn't really stay because we were moving around too. So by the time I got to like 18, made it through high school, nothing crazy, still, I would say not following the Lord at all, just kind of winging it would be the best. I grew up with my dad. My dad moved to Idaho and I moved with him from California to Idaho. And I kind of we just bachelor pad it from like 15, 16, 17, 18. He was doing his development thing. I was, he wasn't, he's being a typical, like, dad that's not following the Lord, just trying to do what's best, right? Just making sure that I have a place to put my head down and I'm going to school. And that was pretty much it. Never, just kind of had us figured out, right? Which I think, is unfortunate in a lot of ways, but also you got to pull your big boy pants on and just do it. Made me go to work, made me get a job, took me to, a lot of his, city council meetings and engineering meetings to kind of just, I don't know if it was an intentional or just, hey, you have nowhere to go, so just come along. So either way, I went. I loved it. I felt like it was great. It was like, and I had a ton of freedom, as a 15, 16, 17-year-old. I didn't have any curfew. I could stay wherever I could. I mean, it sounds crazy to me because I would never let my kids do this, how I grew up. But I literally had no rules. My wife tells me this all the time. This is because you had no rules when you were a kid. I'm like, oh, you're the baby and you had no rules. This is why. I'm like, okay, that's true. But it's not like I took advantage of it and really because I do feel like when I received the Lord at 13, like things did change for me. They just weren't intentionally for my doing. I think the Lord was like, there were some experiences in high school that I shouldn't have made it out of, and I did. And numerous of those because I had no parents around, so to speak. So fast forward a little bit, 18, graduate high school. I moved back from Idaho to California, meet this girl at a party that my cousin's having because I'm back for a couple weeks off vacation. I just graduated high school. I'm still working. I'm actually working for Albertsons. Go down to California, reunite with my friends and everybody who's down there, and I meet Jen, who I know before. I'm like, where do I know you from? And we when I moved to that small town I told you about that my parents got divorced in, me and Jen, we used to date in like 6th grade. We had like a little like 1 month. I used to walk her to class and we went to church camp. And so we reunited that night. I was like, oh my God. And you know, that we reconnected that night. I went back to Idaho and knew I was like, I'm moving back. I just felt like that, there's something here. I remember this is a really great memory of my grandpa. So when I said it was a bachelor pad, my grandma had died too. And so it was me, my dad, my grandpa, his dad, and my brother through high school. Us four guys living together. And my grandpa was a stud. He was a retired architect, and he was, still drawing houses and stuff. So when I left for California for vacation, I came back. I was living with my grandpa. I come back and I go into his office and I said, "Hey, Grandpa, this is the first thing I said. I said, hey, I'm moving back to California." He didn't. The first thing he said out of his mouth was, "What's her name?" He
knew.
freaking knew it. I was like, "No, there's no name. I'm just like, I just feel like it's time to move back." He's like, "Nope, tell me your name." And I was like, "Dang." So I moved back to Cali. Me and Jen start dating. Jen's family is totally different than mine. The exact polar opposite. They grew up all going to church Sunday, Wednesday, Pentecostal, so full spirit, which I had no I went to that Baptist, First Baptist for Juana's, and that was like pretty much it. So, and her mom was adamant, like, this dude, if he's going to pursue you, he needs to be following the Lord. He needs to be baptized. It was like, dude, here's the checks. And I was like, dude, I'm checking them because I want this girl for sure. Right. Was like, girl first, Lord second. But if you say I'm like, I'll do it. So anyway, at 18, 19, got kind of started pursuing the Lord again, got baptized, rededicated my life in the pursuit of Jen, who is my wife now. And so that was the kind of start of figuring out what the gospel really means and what Jesus is for us, really. So we got married 2000 in 2000, and it started our marriage. It was amazing.
Which
You
is
had
how
something,
old?
Steven?
I'm sorry. No, yeah, sorry, Dustin. How old are you now, when you married Jen?
So we were I was born in 80, so I'll be 46 this year. So she was 19, I was 20, super young, but we just knew it, man. It was like, we want to just pursue each other now. We intentionally dated for a year, were engaged for a year, and got married at that second year. And so we start walking together really via her experience with the church and the Lord bringing me along, right? Like the head of the household from a spiritual perspective was really her. And to start, obviously. So fast forward, I'll move a little quick, but so I was going to college at the time at a JC. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. All I knew is nobody in my family's finished college. And I was like, I just want to go to college and finish. That's it. I just want to check that box. I don't know what I want to do. And so I did that, checked that box, finished school with an accounting and finance degree, economics degree, and just started working. I had an internship through Micron, did their state and local income tax, whatever. My dad was still doing his development thing. This is 2006. And then I was like, hey, he was having some health issues, wanted me to come work for him. And I was like, 100%, I'll come work for the family. And that was really stepping out of corporate life into my dad's business to help him out. And that kind of like, I always eventually figured I would get there because it was just kind of that was the identity of the Campbell men. It was like pursuit of business. It was like, we're going to go get it. We're going to do it. And I just kind of chose the college way and then kind of swifted back. You know what I mean? That was kind of the identity of the men that I grew up around. With it, both sides, even not my mom's side, but my grandma's side as well. All the men over there, the Catones, they were all very entrepreneurial. So I just needed to check the college box for me. It just was a thing. I don't know where it come. It was just like, I'm going to do something different. Maybe it's part of that thing that Todd said, you're just always up to something doing it. And I just kind of did it my way. I was like, I'm going to go finish college. Finished it, got into my dad's business in the development space. 2007 comes around. Nothing's really going on because of the housing crisis. We're land developers. We develop lots. And so we're holding our stuff. Jen becomes pregnant. We're having our first kid. And then I remember one night, it was like May 24th, 2007. It was like 3 months before Talia's going to be born. And I just get, at night, I remember me and Jen laying in bed, and I just got the heaviest anxiety I've ever had in my life. And I didn't even know what it was. I just started having these, it was just like, I just got hit with it one night. And I remember growing up vividly and my dad struggling with anxiety and having episodes and being able to, like, I don't know what he would pop a pill and something, it would be fine. I was like, but he would have an episode around me and be like, what is going on? Like, you're fine. Just chill out. I had no concept of what anxiety was, even though I grew up with it. But one night I literally just got hit with it and I could not shake it. I literally went to the doctors, thought something was wrong with me, thought I was dying, all the, typical anxiety things I think people go through, and just couldn't sleep. Doctor just wants to prescribe you all this medicine. I didn't like to take medicine. I didn't want to take any of it. I didn't take any of it. It forced me to start. I remember buying every single biblical book, Bible dictionary. I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. I feel like it's a spiritual attack. Mentally, I can't get out of it. I couldn't go to sleep. And so this is when I started listening to Matt Chandler. 2014, I find Matt Chandler on a podcast or something. And literally every night to get me to bed, I had to listen to Matt Chandler. I had to get off of what was going on in my mind. The only thing I could do, the Lord was like, brought me Matt Chandler. I don't even know how. I literally have no idea how. I wasn't surrounded around a good people. We were going to church, but so that was a major point in my life where probably, well, I mean, like, I still struggle with anxiety at times, but that 2007, it was major. It wasn't like I couldn't go to work and couldn't function, because I was still highly functioning and still like crushing it at work and chasing business at all costs, right? But it was very taxing on me at home when things slowed down, especially at night. It was like, oh my God, how am I going to sleep tonight? Every night.
Dustin, what do you think? What do you think is below that? Like, what's causing that anxiety? What's the question that is looming that you're unable to answer?
At the time, Todd, it was like death. It was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I think it was the fear of death, honestly. And this lasted like intense for a very extended period of time. I want to say like over 10 years.
Yeah.
Not wanting to go to sleep, not wanting to let my mind go there. Right. And I never medicated. I like never. It was always, I would go the opposite way. If there's one thing, it's like, if everybody's going that way, I actually prefer to go that way. And so that doesn't always work well.
Yeah.
But that was kind of my mentality. So all the doctor was saying, hey, here's all the meds that can make you feel better and do all the things. And I was like, I want no part of that.
Yeah.
I actually want to go the other way. So I'll fast forward a little bit. So that's 2007, 8, 9, 10. We have Talia in 7. We have Jackson in 10. Life is good. Business is growing. I'm a part of a very fast growing. I left my dad's business, and because we weren't doing anything, and my buddy from high school called me, and he started bodybuilding.com. He says, hey, we need help, and I know you're not doing anything. Would you come help us? I said, 100%. So that was a total God thing. And I just said yes. And I joined Bible.com, which was the number one even at the time, because my buddy started it in 99. This was 08. So in 9 years, he'd become the number one supplement provider in the whole world online. So, and he was growing like a rocket ship. I think there were like 100 million at the time. He literally started it in his bedroom in high school. So I joined that, learned everything about that business, became an executive in that business in like 2 years, just grinded it, right? It was a grind, but we were having so much fun. The business was scaling. We had a couple hundred people. I mean, it was just growth after growth after growth. We're scaling it. We're bringing in systems. We're doing all the things. It was like a perfect learning ground for me. And I was like 27 years old, 28. Just, it was awesome. Right? Like it was great. That led to an opportunity in the sports supplement space in Texas. I was in charge of all the brands. We had over 400 brands. I was like, I don't even know. I can't even remember. But anyway, there's two sides of the business. There was the store side where we sold the supplements. Me and Jeremy were in charge of that. And there was the content side, which we had about 100 software developers. So we controlled all the brands. We had relations with every single sports brand that was anything in the whole world. One of those brands was a small Texas brand called Cellucor. They were not sold online, and I was courting them to come online. Anyway, I ended up joining them to help them scale their business. The owner, wanted to scale it. He knew I had experience in what I just did with bodybuilding, so that's what brought me to Texas, and specifically College Station because they were in Bryan. But all this time, still dealing like heavy anxiety. Like I was also. I had a lot of international experience at bodybuilding because 70% of our online traffic was from international markets. So I knew a lot about consumers in the sports supplement space internationally. And one of the things that Doss wanted to do with Cellucor was take it international. So I was the perfect person to be like, hey, I know the contacts in Brazil and what they like in Australia. And so one of the things I took over here was international. And in order to be good at international, you have to travel. It's just, you can't grow a business in Brazil sitting in Bryan. So I picked up traveling, all over the world with this like heavy anxiety, like taking 13-hour flights with like, oh my God, I don't want to step on this plane. So and the Lord provided a lot. And just like, even when my brain doesn't want to do something, I just like force myself to do it. I'm just like, just go do it. Just get through it. You're fine. Like, I don't know who told me this early on when I was dealing with a lot of the anxiety stuff, is like, nobody dies from anxiety. Like nobody's death certificate says like, oh, he died from anxious thoughts. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay. So it was very, very hard. Specifically being away from home, knowing that I got to go to sleep somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Brazil or Europe. And I'm in bad state mentally, like horrible, but I did it. I just forced myself to do it. And the Lord provided. He just did. He, all the time after time after time. Fast forward. So I joined in 2010 or no, 12, Texas. The business is growing really fast. I'm a partner in that business. 2014 comes. I come back off a 19-day trip. I was gone 19 days straight in like India, the Middle East, Europe, all over the place. Come back 19 days. First day back in the office, I get fired. Like, you're gone. We're buying you out. I'm like, so, hold on just a second. So my whole life just stops right there. Like my whole identity in business, everything to that point, all the success at the previous role to this role. And in 2 years, we almost doubled the business. I mean, it was growing really fast. And everything came to a stop one day out of nowhere, which is, in when I look back, was totally the Lord pulling like, if that, there's multiple crossroads in everybody's life. That was one for me right there. January 7th, 2014 or something like that, 6th. I remember vividly. At the time, I had no idea. I thought my whole world was gone. Like everything I worked so hard for, college, scaling the bodybuilding from 100 to 300 million, scaling this business, everything I had my family and I was a good family man. I was a good dad and I loved Jesus and these things. But really my priority was business and the success of business. And Stephen, you knowing that I'm good at business and I'm growing things. That was what's important to me. And as soon as that got taken away, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what to do because it got taken from me so quickly. It wasn't like, hey, you see it coming. So that year, that happened that year. I'll back up a little bit. 2012, we started going to a small church called, Declaration, which was planted by Blake Chilton, who was he was under Matt Chandler at the Village. He came and the Village planted a church in College Station. And guess what we're going? I've been grinding Matt Chandler for 5 years every night to go to bed. So we're going to go to Declaration, which is totally a God thing too. We got connected to Declaration. They brought Travis down from Dallas to join and help grow the business in 2 years in, early 2014, I think, something like that. And I got engaged in a men's group and kind of their ministry. And Travis was obviously a friend with Todd. Todd was just starting out and Travis organized this trip. And I was like, 100% I'm going. I have no idea what to expect, but this was like 4 months, maybe 5 months after I just got my whole life, pulled out from under me, or what I thought, right? At the time, we go on trail, have no expectations. I remember Todd at the first night sharing his story, and I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. This guy, I remember, and I was actually really scared. This guy just laid his whole life out to 10 dudes that he really never met. And I was scared because I didn't want to open my closet. Right? And when you're in that environment, like, who am I to hide my stuff when this dude just laid it down? Right? And so I had no idea going into that trip. And so obviously I share my whole story. And one of the biggest things in my closet was, I got exposed to pornography when I was 12, started really consuming it in college when the internet and we had access to things, and kept it in this closet while I'm living this Christian life and trying to pursue my wife while I got major bodies controlling up in my back, and what that does to your brain and how you objectify women, and like this is gonna end badly, right? And I think when I look back on my life, that identity crisis in 14 was pulling. Number one, there was two things. That thing redirected my whole life in knowing that I had an identity crisis and the idols in my life, and the affirmation of this business success was the thing I was chasing and not the Lord. That was the first thing. And the second thing is the biggest thing in my closet was this objectification of women and pornography thing. Huge. So I confessed that on trail to these 10 men, 11 men, whoever was on the trail. And I was so relieved to actually have it come out in that setting. Like, so scared to share, but once I shared, I was like, it's out, man. Like, everybody knows. And so excited because I felt freedom, right? You felt freedom. Like the Lord brought you to this point, had you share it with these men, and I remember feeling the rest of the trail, feeling like freedom and excited to go home with that freedom. I remember off the trail, I was for some reason I flew in and out. I don't know why, but I was in the airport, whatever airport it was at the time, calling my wife, so excited to tell her. And I was so ignorant. I was so stupid. I was like, I remember being like, I can't wait. I can't wait. I just want to, like, if I was on Facebook or something, I probably would have put it on Facebook, right? But I'm about to crush her heart.
I've never heard this.
And I'm excited. I just didn't think about it because I was so excited about the freedom I felt and about what the changes I was going to make at home.
Yeah.
I never thought about, I'm going to crush my wife's soul, letting her know that I've been looking at other women and objectifying women on the side. And it was like the highest high, and it just went like, I just wasn't ready for it because for whatever. So obviously, that was a major thing for us, and getting through that and unpacking that and setting boundaries and like that, way forward, the Lord changing my identity, ripping it away and bringing way forward saved my marriage 100%. You can't consume and think about things and not act on it eventually. It will ruin your marriage. If not ruin your mind first, but you will act on it, right? These things you will act on. So renew your mind. Obviously, Paul tells us.
Hey Dustin, I want to dive in just like before we go past that first trip, and you've been super real with us here on on this interview, but coming in, you were the guy. Like Travis told me about you before you ever showed up. Like, dude, this guy, he's the real deal. I mean, so on the outside, bro, you've got it all together.
Right.
Like, you look great. I mean, I can't remember if it was your first trip or whatever. But I remember you telling the story of like, man, I had like 25 pairs of Hokas sent to my house, to try on the right one. And I mean, dude, you're like floating around on cloud shoes and wearing neon clothes. And I mean, you had it all together. You have a swagger. You have a confidence. Like, you have all that stuff externally. And internally, there's that anxiety, and anxiety comes from something. I mean, you said fear of death, there's control, there's, all that stuff. And then pornography. I mean, it's like, dude, beneath the surface, it's a raging war. And on the outside, it's put together and clean. And I do, you made the statement, I didn't go the medical route, but what I would assess is, you, instead of putting pills in your body, you instinctively said, hey, I'm good at these things. And you know what? I'm going to put all my chips on those things. You're a hard worker. You're, you're convincible. You can figure crap out.
Great
Curious.
medications.
I mean, So those were your medication was, dude, I'm putting all my chips in here. And I love, like, I don't want to blow past. I know we joked around about Jen and I mean, I had the same moment where I told my wife, sitting across the table, and it's like hardest and best conversation I've ever had in my life. But man, that freedom that you experience is like, holy crap, I can be known. Like, I don't have to hide anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like? I mean, what was it like before? You've described some of it, but just like, what was your internal dialogue, before the trip started? And then, what was it like walking around after you shared, knowing, man, I can be me. I don't have to hide anymore.
Well, I think it's really easy. It's really easy to hide a raging war if you don't have a good board of directors around you personally. And so men don't like to go deep. They like to keep people at bay. Yeah, you can have some close friends, and everybody does the small talk. So you're right, Todd. You can have it all together on the outside. Oh man, look how successful he is. Man, holy cow! He's going to church with his family and have a raging war mentally going on. But I think the I think what you've done really well at WayForward is you don't allow people to go on that trail and not share who they are. Like that's like this is a freedom hike, and you don't even know it, right? We're gonna shut the world off and unlock like really who you are, and I think you've done a really good job at that. Yeah, do some people maybe not share everything? Yeah, but I mean, I've gone on 3 of them, and you hear some pornography may be one thing, but we've heard some way worse things than that, and guys are just laying it out, right? And so
Yeah.
you feel so freedom because you never said it to anybody. You never told anybody anything about your dark closet, and so yeah, I mean, there's no better feeling than it coming to the surface. And then, one of the things that was super important once I got off trail was like, and Travis was super intentional about this, is like, hey, now that we're on trail and we've kind of shared these things, and it's like, now it's like, we need to continue to live around each other and be vulnerable to the sin in our lives. This is how we keep the closet from not getting stuffed again.
Yeah.
Right. Like surround ourselves with guys who love the Lord, love their family, and are in the same pursuits in the same vein, but also who sharpen each other and be like, listen, dude, I have a problem. Or I can't, the boundaries I've set for my pornography are not working. Like, who says that? Right. And so when I say like board of directors, like the people around me, right? Like a business, you put people in the board of directors that know things about business that keep that business going forward. Same thing personally. Who are the 4 or 5 guys around you that are going to slap you in the face and be like, what are you looking at? What are you doing? Or checking in on you, right? And so those barriers. So Travis was really good about that. And I thank the Lord for him about that. And even though when I wasn't in his church, I was always intentional about surrounding myself with guys that I could tell I wanted to continue the visibility and vulnerability, because that's the way the closet doesn't get built, right? And that's the way I continue to pursue my wife and family like I should, without having to confess every year on trail what's going on. Like, we should be able to do this every day, right? And I just did this morning. I meet with 5 guys at Bible study, and we go through a Bible study, but we also pray for each other and be like, what's going on? Well, that's that time to be like, here's what's going on. Here's what's really going on.
Yeah.
Right. And if guys can get in the rhythm of, number one, shaking opening the door first, get on trail, open up, confess, get some freedom in your life like you never had before. And then the continuing part of that is to surround yourself with like-minded men who love the Lord, who love you, and who are really iron sharpens irons, not surface level. Hey, I'm doing good. How's your business doing? But like, really, how are you doing with the pornography you told me about 2 years ago? Yeah. Like, are you struggling when you go to the Aggie football game and you can't keep your blinders on because there's, 20,000 girls? What do you do? Like, how are you doing? Seriously. Like, these are real questions, and not just every man deals with this. Pastors, non-pastors, businessmen. And so when I say WayForward and the Lord and that crossroads saved my life, that's what I mean, because I was on a path for destruction. I had more success than I ever thought I would get. I had more freedom than I ever had. And I got it all taken away in one day. Thank the Lord for that. Mm-hmm. Because if I didn't, that business that I got taken from went to $1 billion. I would have had more money, and then I would have no family. 100% right now. That's where I was going. Now, can people do it differently? But yeah, not me, not the secrets I had and the stuff going on over it. I did it. So 2014, yeah, that was a trip of freedom for me, and it changed my and my family's life forever.
And I love the simplicity of that. It's like, we want to think that, finding freedom is some formula, you got to get a master's degree in life. And it's like, no, what you said is confess the crap that's in your closet and find men around you that you can have conversations with. It's like, that's where freedom comes. Like, stuck comes from hiding, freedom comes from vulnerability. And just to give context, Dustin, this is probably one of my favorite WayForward stories to ever tell. And no, it doesn't involve like a loincloth towel. That's your favorite story to ever tell. So Dustin, early on, we've got a no phone or a no watch policy at WayForward, and it's like, dude, we're like, let go. It's 4 days. You don't need to know what time it is. Your guides are going to take care of you. Leave the darn watch here. Trust your guide just like you trust the Lord. Well, Dustin was maybe just a smidge controlling, to say it nicely. And so he looks at me and he's like, bro, I just bought this $500 watch. I'm bringing it on trail. I won't look at the time. I'm just going to do my steps. And, I was kind of early, and to say Dustin had a swagger, like, it really wasn't a question. He just told me, I'm wearing this watch on trail. And I kind of gave like a, yes, sir, And I mean, Dustin worked for bodybuilder.com. I know he's got a sweatshirt on right now, but the dude is stoked, like just 6-pack abs, just yoked up. And so I was like, you're not going to look at the time? He's like, no, man. I mean, he looks at me straight in the face. I'm not going to look at the time, bro. And so we're out there, and I forget, it was like day 3, and we brought everybody coffee, in their, or no, we brought a couple guys coffee in their tents. And Dustin rolls out, and he's like, man, if I'd have known you were bringing coffee at 6 o'clock, like I would have had my cup ready. And I said, what do you mean? How do you know what time it is? And he goes, oh man, I was just guessing, like by the sun and whatever. And his tent mate unzips the tent and he goes, bullshit, dude, you looked at your watch. And he looked at me like, he got caught. And I looked at him and I said, hey man, it's okay. I got control issues as well. And he just turned around and walked back to his tent. And like the day goes on, and the next day he wakes up and he walks over and he goes, hey man, I took the watch off. And I was just like, oh, that's so good. But it's so true. It's like, dude, and here's the deal. If you really think about it, like, go back to the anxiety. If it's all on me, if everything rests on my shoulders, dude, I'm going to wear the watch. I'm going to check everything, like biohacking. All the stuff in life. It's like, I'm going to make sure everything is fine-tuned because my freaking identity is on the line. And also, if you start peeping through the cracks, you're going to see all the shit that I've been hiding for so long. So like, I'm going to keep it all together. And I respect you. I jokingly tell that story, but like, that's me. And so it's like, that's who you were. And man, like the transformation that happened and the change. And I want to continue the story. Stephen, you might have a question, but I want to hear more of like, dude, that was 2014. We're 12 years ago. Like, I know there's ups and downs. It's not like one thing happens and, oh my gosh, life was perfect after that. No, you're still, wrestling with stuff. But no, you might have a question.
Yeah, well, a thing I'm curious about, Dustin, for the person listening back at home, and it's like, man, you can feel, you can hear the freedom in your voice when you're telling that story, and it's, anyone who doesn't have that, like that, even if you have it, you maybe haven't experienced it yet today, and you just want to feel that, right? So it's so compelling. I want to talk about, like, I think when you go back home, when you go back to the Valley, right? Obviously you had a situation, we chuckled about it, but it was like, it was a blindside for your wife. Talk about the healing process and like help people that are maybe afraid, they can do it even on the mountaintop. They can do it with a certain group of guys, but they can't, talk to that person. Like what have you learned from that experience?
Yeah, that's gonna, for a marriage and for a man to confess that to the person they love more than anything is the hardest thing I think a man can do. But it's a required step for freedom for your marriage. It's your wife doesn't want to hear it, but she needs to know, right? She needs to hear it. And that vulnerability in the moment is only going to bring I know at the time when you confess it, you feel so far away, probably emotionally and physically to your wife, but it's going to bring you so much closer together as you heal. And then the continued conversations and vulnerability are that much easier, and they're typically, in my experience, have been much smaller, right? And so as you continue, not just break through that one time and get the big elephant out of the closet, but as you continue to fail as a husband and father, as you will, whether you're sinning against your wife or not, just continue that vulnerability to her and build that muscle of like, yeah, I'm fallen. I'm not as perfect as I appear to be or want you to think I am. But I think after you get so much more closer emotionally and I would say even physically, like for us, it's um yeah, it transformed your marriage in ways it's very hard to describe. It just does. Not you fully being who being transparent with who you are and the things you're dealing with, and even if it's against her or not, there's a level of transparency that needs to be there and continue to be there for that closeness, and that as you both work towards the Lord and you guys get closer together, it has to be there. If you are holding something back, you're never going to allow you. If that sin is always going to be in between you and the Lord and you and your wife, it's never going to allow the closeness you are designed to be ever. It's just not. Yeah. And so pull the Band-Aid off, get that thing out of the way, and continue to have that vulnerability for life. And then, as you both are seeking the Lord, you're going to get, it's so good. It's so, so good. So yeah, it's not easy at all. Well, you know what? Guess what? Nothing worth it in life is easy. Like it's not, right? There's only one person, wins the lottery, and it's not you. It's never going to be you. So it's going to be hard, so it's like, but yeah, dude, the mountain is huge. I know, I felt it. Like, and if it wasn't for WayForward, I don't know, maybe today I wouldn't have shared it. Maybe I'd have even a bigger closet but it didn't matter because the Lord, my path is different. He pulled the identity of business out of me. He put me on trail. I confessed it to 10 men. Well, guess what? My next step is confess it to the person I lay my head down to every night with. And that has provided freedom in all ways, not just personally, but in our marriage. And, and then it allows your wife to ask that question and really check in on you, which she should, right? How are you doing here? It's not just the men around your life. Now it allows your wife to be like, and they also have things too, right? That they need to share, and maybe they're different, and most likely they are. So yeah, it's freedom for your family. If the head of the household has freedom and is transparent, it's freedom for the whole family. Holding that back is just holding, a bunch of sin over your family. It just is. It just, there's no way around it. You got it. It's like, Todd always talking about the buffalo. Speaking of buffalo, like he doesn't turn from the storm. He just goes right into it. Right. So, and you don't have to be a buffalo every day. Just get through the biggest storm in your life, which is hiding the sin away from your family and your wife, and then figure out, maybe how to live in the storm rather than try to stay out of it. Like, hey, let's find a normal inside it, because the storm's not going away. Yeah. Right? Like this isn't forever. And when we think we can just, and I think this, when I first met Todd, I was like, dude, I have everything. I'll just go, I'm gonna dock my boat right to this freaking dock right here, tie it as tight as I can, and wave, from the dock to everybody. But that's super unrealistic. I was just, immature in my walk with the Lord, and also scared. Let's be honest. Scared out of my mind to not be in control.
Yeah.
So that was the first step of like, that was the first step in really saving not just, my family, but my life, and redirecting it, and really like exposing the identity crisis I had that I never knew I did. Right. So that was 14. Obviously, I continued to go on trail, not just like I had something to like, I have another big thing, because I really didn't. It was more of like to bring other people around me to experience that freedom, and also, just to continue to, confess sin with other men and see the freedom going around. Like I really wanted to just continue to do it. And so we did. We led another trip. And, I was still dealing with anxiety at this time. And I remember the second trip being like, hey, this is going to be the rock I throw off the mountain. I really need this to go away. It's not of God. It's not healthy. And that mountaintop moment for me was like, hey, I'm going to deal with this once and for all. This was 2016. Now, it didn't happen right at that moment and like strike me and it's like, it's gone, right? It was like, I'm intentionally going to, set this thing aside and work on it, right? Like this is what the Lord's brought to me. And so that was 15. On our second trip, which was a very hard trip. And Todd was leading this one. We brought somebody on the trip who accepted last minute, and I wasn't in the best shape, and we all grinded through that trip, but it was really good. And I'm going to go back a little bit, Todd. There was one, I did go crazy with the boots. I ordered like 15 boots, and tried every single one on. And I was like buying my own stuff, and he's like, dude, you don't have to do any of that. Like, anyway, I came all fitted because that's just what I do, because I think I told you before, I have like approval of others is an idol for me. So like part of that is like, hey, you got to look the part, you got to act the part, you got to dress up, this is something you got to do. I think there's an unhealthy part of that, which, I do have. So anyway, I show up on trail with these most expensive Italian leather hiking boots, and Todd's like,
yeah.
Okay, wow. And the first thing we do on that trip is we have lunch on a creek side, and we have lunch, and then we take our boots off and we cross the creek, and we get to the other side and we put our boots on and we start. Wow. Mr. Italian boot man didn't quite like strap the boots on really tight because I'm so excited to go. And 45 minutes in trail, my feet are hurting, and there's no turning back. And I end up with every step for 5 days hurt so bad. I had the biggest freaking silver dollar blisters on each of my heels. It was horrible. And I just remember every step hurting so bad. I was the slow one on the trail, and it was like Todd brought me to the front and said, hey, we're going to all pace off you. You're super slow. I was like, okay, great.
I said way more kind than that.
And I can't remember who the other guy was. I remember, but like literally I had to like patch my feet up every morning and bandage them up to go on trail because however expensive these stupid boots were not great. And I just remember just the grind of it's just put one foot in front of the other. Just keep going, one foot. And it was just like that trip for me was amazing in a lot of ways. And it wasn't about finding an easy way to live your life and have all the comforts and tie the boat to the dock. That was the Lord like really working on me that trip. And it was hard. It was very, very, very hard. Great. The freedom was amazing, but physically every step was hard. I mean, it was extremely painful. So I wanted to highlight that, but also, so when I showed up for the next trip, the next year, I was like, well, of course I'm not showing up in Italian leather boots, 0 chance. I find these Hoka brand new moon boots that I got made fun of forever, but they are amazing.
Then they were popular like 10 years later. Like,
dude, oh yeah, it was groundbreaking. Nobody knew what Hoka was. It was like the first Hoka hiking boot anybody's ever seen. Of course, I'm going to bring it on trail. And Todd looks at me and is like, you look like you're walking on clouds. Like the heel's like this thick. But anyway, it was so awesome. So
we were jealous.
Yeah. So this 2016 or 15, I went on trail, which was great. More about others, less about me, but still a lot of growth. that was the really focus on, hey, I'm going to deal with this anxiety thing, throw that thing off the mountain, feel some freedom from it, and focus on it. Go back to the valley, focus on it. And I did 2017, I think. I skipped a year and went, I think, my last trip. And that trip, we brought a couple more guys from our church. This was like Travis's like third or fourth trip. And it was just bringing more guys around us, wanting them to experience this freedom, wanting to find guys to walk with. We brought our worship leader, James. I can't remember his last name. Amazing guy. And this trip really, really cemented that fear and anxiety experience. Oh, did I lose you guys?
You're back in. You're back in. Yep.
I sent a text to Elon Musk. He got it all sorted out. You're back.
No.
Dang, I hate that.
James Curlin.
Yes. James Curlin's on. So one night he starts breaking out in worship. This was on the backside after the lake. So this is towards the end of the trip. And we all start worshiping. It's an amazing, it's beautiful. The freaking stars are everywhere. It's just an amazing night. Everybody I think it just broke out. Like he just started and he's insane. And we start worshiping. I remember being on my sleeping bag against a tree and I was bundled up and the Lord just grabbed me and squeezed me and I could not move. I was literally in a cocoon and I could not. And I remember initially feeling a lot of fear, having no idea what was going on. And then realizing in the moment, I'm like, oh my God, the Holy Spirit is like holding me. Like the Lord was physically constricting me. As the first time and the only time I've ever experienced that. And it was frightening because I didn't know what was going on. But then in the moment, I was like, oh my God, this is so the Lord. It's only him. He was everywhere. Everybody was worshiping him. It was really, really amazing. However, that night, still dealing with anxiety and fear, not knowing what happened, but knowing what happened, I was up all night and I was like trembling fear, like shaking. Philip Petronella was sleeping next to me, didn't feel it. I was like, I didn't sleep an ink all night. We get up and we usually have coffee and a little Bible study before. And I don't know if this was Travis or one of the guys, the trail leaders. They brought up the scripture of fear and trembling. I don't know the scripture off the top of my head, but you know the one I'm talking about. And I was like, you have no idea what just happened. Like that's speaking to me right now because I just laid in that tent for 7 hours shaking and fear and trembling was all over me last night, the whole night. And so that experience of like really just exposed who's really in control and really, really shook me to my core in a good way. Like the Lord, like really holding me and squeezing me and letting me know he was there. And then and then going through that whole night of like me and my mind and the fear and trembling I had, like physically trembling, like it was, man, it was really, really impactful. And then, to kind of wrap it up in the morning and then him talk about fear and trembling as the message when I just, experienced it all night. It was like a complete, the picture was complete for me. You know what I mean? Like the Lord really provided there. So that was my last trip on trail, kind of bringing back home like this, still dealing with this anxiety thing and figuring out what really is at the core of it. Right. And Todd, you were kind of hitting at it. It's like, well, it's kind of like, I don't want to die. I kind of got everything I want. Like I like that. I don't know where I'm going and I don't know if I like it and all these things. And so like, that's kind of brought me to really understanding what the Lord has revealed what heaven is about, right? And really diving into where are we going and why are we going there? And why is there a new heaven and a new earth? Well, we know this world is broken and we know that sin was introduced and kind of separated us from God. And so it's like, what has God promised us for eternity? Like, what is it? And that's when that questioning started happening. And in the last, so I haven't been on trail in 10 years, I think. Well, God, maybe 9 years. I don't know. But I've been dealing with that a lot, honestly. Like, and I see it also in my kids, right? And my wife, and like seeing it, addressing it, and understanding where that fear comes from. Because, we're parents. We want our kids to, not get hurt and not die young and all these things. But like, if we're really honest with ourselves, we have no control over that. Right. And if we're really honest with ourselves, we're all scared of that. But like, focusing on eternal things and what the Lord has coming for us has really, really helped me and also my family. Like knowing that, hey guys, we're blessed now, and thank the Lord. We pray all the time for the blessings He's given us, but this isn't forever, right? In front of us isn't forever, and thank the Lord for that. Actually, that it's not forever, right? But if I lived in like la la land of like, I want this things He blessed me with, and I want to put it above Him, and I want it to last forever, and I lived in that like headspace, and okay, so if the fear of taking that away is driving me crazy, well, it's like, well, I got all that above Christ. I got my order wrong. If that is what I want and only what I want, of course, if something takes that away, I'm going to lose everything. I have another identity crisis in my life. And guess what I did? I put all the blessings that God gave me and I put it right above Him. And I said, hey, don't take this away, please. And I pray every day you don't take this away, and don't let this little bubble, last forever. And that's totally wrong. I mean, that thing's going to blow up, in my face. And so the Lord has revealed that. Like, I got rid of the sin that was in my life and replaced it with idols that He's blessing me with and put it above Him. And He's revealed that, like, hey, good things in your life you can make idols. Your family, your kids, like nothing goes above the Lord, right? And so I've been peeling that onion back of like the pursuit of this perfect family is unrealistic, and it's an idol if it's above the Lord. And the last, like, I think the journey of WayForward and exposing yourself, the continuation of that is what I'm going through now. Is like, hey, what are the things in my life that are not pursuing the Lord correctly? What are the idols in my life? This approval of others is still a big thing. There are still big things that at times I place above my wife, my kids. I'm like, man, the blessings are so good from the Lord, but they're not to be worshipped above Him, And so the eternity thing has really helped me.
Hey, Dustin, I'm just curious. Yeah, thank you for sharing this. I'm curious, as you bring that home, right? As you're bringing that home, God's revealing where you're elevating these things above Him. How I'm curious how that affects, like, what are tangible ways that you take action, or what has He revealed for you to, like, how is your walk different? Like when you talked about pornography, you talked about your board of directors and these men, and you talked about boundaries you put in place. Like, I'm using my language here, but like hedges that you put in place so you don't necessarily accidentally fall off the cliff, right? As these things are being revealed to you, what are some like tangible boundaries? I'm curious what that looks like in the valley for you.
I think the initial boundaries of the sin I shared are pretty simple, and making sure everybody sees what's going on here, right? Keeping guys around you that are asking vulnerable questions, that know your sin. Okay, those are boundaries, and those have worked really well. And the continual confession of sin. The boundaries now for me, outside of that, and really like, hey, is the idol or are the things being placed above the Lord? It's really of where I'm spending my time, where I'm spending my money, where I'm spending my thought life. If those three things I can answer in something that's above the Lord, I'm like, I know there's a problem. I know it. And the Lord has revealed good things in my life that can become idols, right? And so if I were to give you access to my checkbook, you could probably identify the idols that have the potential to be placed above the Lord. If you spend a month with me and see where I spend my time and effort, and I think somebody who has approval of others or this kind of business, oh gosh, my computer might die. I'm gonna have to stop here for a second and plug it in. I'm susceptible of it coming back, right? Of chasing things that aren't in pursuit of the Lord just to chase them, right? So I think just being aware of those idols is the first thing. And then also having the board of directors is a really, really important aspect. And you sharing those idols and living life with some of those people, those will be exposed. Like that you can't, can you? Yeah, guys we're really good at hiding. We're very good. Not going and checking in and we're just really good at it. We're like the surface level stuff, we're great. But if you have a good board, they know where we're vulnerable. They ask, and it's not easy to find that board, right? It is just not. Like it's a work, it's an effort. And sometimes we got to remove people to the board because there's things happen, right? And just like anything in life. So that has been really good for me to get some stable guys around me that know the idols in my life and that know they can creep where they shouldn't, right? And also this goes back to, being vulnerable to your wife and her knowing those and recognizing them. And, but yeah, I think, there was, it was really an epiphany for me to be like, oh, good things that are blessings can be idols. Like you can treat them, you can love them more than God. Yeah. Like I love creation more than the creator a lot of the times. And that's crazy to me, right? Like it's so backwards because we wouldn't have any of these things without him and without his providence in our life. So, the last, 10 years, and it sounds like a long time, but this takes work to get out and to work through and to understand it and to process it and to put people in your life that will, not be afraid to be like, dude, what's going on? What's really going on? So, but all this started as a, I think the way forward and what the Lord has done through WayForward and the exposing of real people on trail and hard things, and also feeling that freedom, like this is the fruits of all that. If you continue in it and keep guys around you and keep confessing what you do in life as you did on trail, like this is the fruits of that. Like there's more work to be done, right? Always. Yeah, I'm not dealing with the pornography and anxiety thing like I used to. Thank the Lord. But there's also other things. We just replace. If we don't check our flash and watch it, guess what we do? We just replace it with other sin and other idols. And like, this is what you mean. Read the Bible. They're hard-headed people, and we're still them. So it's a continual process. But I'm so grateful for the identity crisis that started in 14 that I thought my whole world was gone. Had no idea, right? But that's there's a maturing process. There's a continual sanctification, and I'm grateful for that, right? As the iron keeps sharpening iron, and it doesn't feel good, but it does, right? When you're further on in it, it's like, and so
It's good.
I'm really, really grateful for it. Hey, let me stop. Let me plug my computer in before it dies.
Dustin, what man, as we wrap up, I think grateful for your vulnerability and honesty.
Thank
And
you.
man,
Yes.
I think there's guys that men, women that'll listen to this. It's like, it's refreshing. Being around you is refreshing, and it's a breath of fresh air. How can people get in touch with you if they want to know more? We'll put that in the show notes. But wrapping up, dude, thanks for your time here.
Thank you, Dustin.
Love you, brother. Grateful for you, and yeah, thanks for just being honest on the show and giving us your time, man. May this story be a blessing to folks as they listen to you, and we'll give them the opportunity to get in touch with you down below. So thank you, brother.